thank you for joining us today. This is Virtual Field Trips with Josh, always brought to you by Center for Success. Today we are going to be taking a trip to Paris, the City of Lights. I hope you enjoy it, and let's go ahead and go there.
Bonjour and welcome to the famous city of Paris. Today we will see some of the sights and hear about a few events that make this such a remarkable city. Paris is located on the continent of Europe. You will find it in the top part of the country of France, the northern part. Paris is the capital of France. More than 2 million people live there. Paris is quite an old city. It is much more than 2,000 years old. There is a river that runs through the city. It is called the Seine. It is an important river because it helped to move both goods and people around long before there were any roads. This river, the Seine, splits Paris into two parts. These parts are called the left bank and the right bank. Our tour will take us along the left bank of the Seine, crossing over the river, returning back on the right bank. Let's start with one of the most famous landmarks in the world, the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is about 125 years old. It was built for the World's Fair. It was the tallest tower of its time and stands 984 feet tall. The man who designed the tower was named Gustave Eiffel, and the tower was named after him. Believe it or not, the tower was supposed to be torn down after the fair. It was saved so that it could become a signal tower. It needed 2,500,000 rivets and requires 40 tons of paint each time it is painted. Beside the tower is a large rectangular green space called the Champ de Mars. It used to be a military parade ground where soldiers would practice marching. Now it's used as a gathering place for picnics and walks. At the end of the Champ de Mars is the École Militaire, a military school for the French army. Napoleon Bonaparte, a French emperor and army leader, was a student here, starting from the age of 16. Across the street is the Rodin Museum, containing a well-known sculpture called the Tinka. Continuing along the left bank of the Seine, we find a famous museum called the Musée d'Orsay. This building started out as a train station. It is now a museum that has a lot of impressionist paintings by Vincent van Gogh and Claude Monet, who is famous for his water lily paintings. An impressionist painting is one that is not exact with details, but gives you the feeling of a place or event. Moving away from the river, we find the most popular park in Paris, the Luxembourg Gardens. Here you can find families enjoying many activities in the park, along with people playing pool. Pool is a game where you roll your metal balls along the ground in order to hit a smaller wooden ball. Also in these gardens is the Luxembourg Palace, which is now a government building. There are quite a few statues and sculptures in the gardens, and one that is sure to be a surprise is a copy of the Statue of Liberty. The original Statue of Liberty was a gift from France in the first place. Back on the river, we come to a building known as the Conciergerie. It was a prison for those who were arrested during the French Revolution. The revolution happened in the late 1800s, when all the people of France decided as a group that the king and his government were being very unfair to the people. They decided not to listen to the king and that he should not be their ruler anymore. Since all of the people acted together as a very big group, they were able to be more powerful than the government. Moving along, we come to an area called the Latin Quarter. One of the oldest universities in the world is in the Latin Quarter, the University of Paris. It is almost 1,000 years old. At that time, the language of learning was Latin, not French or English. This is why one of the most famous areas in Paris is called the Latin Quarter. A number of famous painters and writers have spent their time here in the Latin Quarter. You may have heard names like Pablo Picasso or Ernest Hemingway. They are famous men who spent time painting, writing, and living in this area. The Latin Quarter is also home to the Palace Mosque. After the Christian religions, Islam is the most popular religion in Paris. This mosque was built in the 1920s to thank the North African Muslims who helped France during World War I. The one and only skyscraper in Paris is called the Montparnasse Tower. The people of Paris made a big fuss because they felt it was too tall, and so they decided there would not be any more skyscrapers in the city. We are now going to cross over the Seine. First, we arrive on the Ile de la Cité, an island on the Seine. There you will find the very grand Notre Dame Cathedral. It dates back to the 1100s and took almost 200 years to build. It is called a Gothic cathedral, which means that it is the design of the building. The pointed arch over the front doors is one feature that makes Notre Dame a Gothic cathedral. At the back of the building is a row of curved arches that help to hold up the building. They're called blind buttresses. They too are Gothic. Notre Dame is also known for its amazing stained glass rose windows. Many people enjoy the gargoyle sculptures carved on the building. History was made here a few times. First, Napoleon crowned himself emperor here. Another important ceremony took place when Joan of Arc was made a saint here. That is called being canonized. Thousands of people visit Notre Dame every day. Nearby is another beautiful church called Sainte-Chapelle. It too is known for its stained glass windows. Some call it the most beautiful church in Paris. Crossing over the right bank, we arrive at the Hôtel de Ville, or City Hall. This is the building where the mayor and the city council meet to talk about city concerns. The next site is one that many people like to talk about. It is called the Pompidou Center, named after Georges Pompidou, one of the presidents of France. He loved all things that were modern, and he wanted to make a modern building. So he built this one inside out. All the stairs and pipes are on the outside, and only the walls are on the inside. The Louvre Museum is a group of buildings that began in the 600s as a fortress. Since then, it has also been an arsenal, a prison, and then a palace for kings and queens. Over those hundreds of years, the kings and queens collected many pieces of art. So, with all that art, it was turned into a museum in the 1980s. The Louvre is now the most visited museum in the world. More than 8 million visitors go there each year. The glass pyramid in the courtyard is new. It is now the entrance to the museum. It is also a symbol of the large collection of pieces from ancient Egypt. The Louvre contains many masterpieces of European art, including the famous Mona Lisa painted by Leonardo da Vinci. In all, there are over 35,000 works of art that you can see. At the end of the Louvre complex is a large green space called the Tuileries Gardens. These gardens are more than 500 years old. In Paris, not many people have a backyard or a garden of their own, and so these parks are popular. The Tuileries Gardens have formal flower beds, pathways, fountains, and both old and modern statues. It even has a museum, the Angerie Museum, where you can see some of Claude Monet's water lilies. Not far away is yet another famous building, the Opéra Garnier, built in 1875. It is the largest theatre in the world. The writer of The Phantom of the Opera used the opera's fancy decorations and large chandelier as ideas for his story. Back on the river again, we come to the Place de la Concorde, an open square with golden fountains and a tall tower. This 75-foot tall tower is called an obelisk. It was a gift from the country of Egypt to France. It is 3,300 years old. Just past the Concorde Square sits two buildings that would be hard to miss. They are the Grand Palais and the Petit Palais, or the Large Palace and the Small Palace. The Grand Palais is mostly made of glass and metal. It took more steel posts to build than the Eiffel Tower. Both palaces were built for the World Fair more than 100 years ago and are now used to display art. Just behind these buildings runs the Grand Boulevard called the Champs-Élysées. At the end of this famous street lies the dramatic Arc de Triomphe. It was built by Napoleon to celebrate 30 or so of the battles that he had won. If you climb to the top, you get a great view of the city and also of the 12 streets that branch out from the arch, making a star shape. If you follow this road out of the city, it will take you to the last royal palace in France, called the Palais at Versailles. It was built by King Louis XIV, the Sun King, more than 300 years ago. This palace is now Europe's largest. It took 50 years and 40,000 workers to build Versailles. The palace contains 700 rooms, 67 staircases, and 2,153 windows. Often 6,000 people lived here at one time. The gardens were just as important to King Louis, and it took 40 years to make them perfect. At the time of the French Revolution, the king and queen were arrested at Versailles. There are 37 bridges that span the Seine, and two are worth pointing out. The first is the Pont Alexandre III. Many think that it's the most beautiful bridge in Paris. It is the fanciest. The other is the Pont Neuf. It is the oldest of the city's 37 bridges and is more than 400 years old. You might find it funny to know that its name means New Bridge. The most important celebration in Paris is Bastille Day, celebrated each year on July 14th. It has the same importance that the 4th of July does to Americans. There is a huge parade, fireworks at night, street fairs, and lots of food. Parisians are known for their love of food, and they eat in restaurants a lot. At home, Parisians often buy their food at fresh markets, not at grocery stores. There are a few foods that the French are well known for. One is the baguette, a long, thin loaf of bread. They are also a country that loves to eat cheese, and you can find hundreds of types of cheese in France. Boulangerie are where the French buy their bread. Patisserie are where you will find pastries and desserts. Parisians often get around using a subway system called the Metro, or the Metropolitan. The first line opened in 1900, and there are now 14 lines that go around the city. It is the fastest and easiest way to get around the city. Bicycles are also popular. Paris is well known for its fashion designers and clothing. Fashion shows happen often in the city, many times each year. We hope you have enjoyed your visit to Paris and that you now know more about this exciting city. Au revoir.
Thank you for joining us on that trip to Paris. I think it was a lot of fun. We want to thank you for joining us today at Center for Success. We love spending this new form of community with you, and we hope that you'll join us next time. A quick shout out to virtualfieldtrips.org for that great video and for all of the great videos that we get to use during this time at no cost to us, which is an awesome thing that they have allowed us to do. So we hope you'll join us next week, and see you then.